now we have a complete script, we have a title of the book, we have a book cover which comes with a back page and a spine. It's time to decide the size of your book. Behind me, I came with a few books because I wanted to give you an example of the different sizes of books and what really determines the size of each book. So I'm going to show you each book and insert its size there so that you can see what it looks like. Don't mind how they look, they've been used over long periods of time. So this is a book that we use in church a lot for hymns. It's quite tiny, as you can see. It fits on the palms of my hands, but it does have some volume. You can see from the spine that the book has some volume, and the font of the book is quite tiny. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, the font of the book is quite tiny inside, but it's something that you can read clearly. It was designed to be read at close range. So this is how we actually use it in church, and so I guess it makes sense that the font is tiny. We also have this is called a service book. If you're an Anglican, you can actually relate to this. I've used this book for such a long time, since I started catechism and Holy Communion, and so I've been using this book in the main service. As you can see, it also fits in my hands, but it's a little bit bigger than the hymn book. You can tell from the volume that it's a small book, and the font in size is actually bigger than the other one. Yeah. So this is the other size of book. I'll insert the sizes so you'll be able to see. So apart from these two, I've had this Total Self-Confidence book by Dr. Robert Anthony. You can tell from the spine, it's a big book, and you can tell from the way it feels and the cover. And then the font inside is quite friendly. It's what we have in most of the books that you read. So that's the font inside, and it's big. It's actually it fits in width, but in height it can't fit in my hand, so it's a little bit big. The other book that I've brought for your sampling is this one, which is almost similar to Total Self-Confidence. It's a story book. It's a little bit big, as you can tell. In terms of height, it's the same, but you can tell it's a big book from the spine. As you can see, the spine is big. The font inside again is bigger than the other two that I've shown you. However, the length and the width are the same, but the content inside is more, and it's bigger in size. It's about 432 pages. It's a big book. And then we have these stories we used to read when we were younger. We have these two, The House Hackman Hill by Joan Nixon and Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Stowe. These books are almost the same size. However, you can tell from the spine that The House Hackman's Hill is a little bit smaller than Uncle Tom's Cabin. The font inside is similar. I'm just gonna put them together so that you guys see what I'm talking about. See? Two different books, but the fonts are almost similar. And then I have this, it's also a self-development book. It's called The Way I See It. It's an old book. I read old books, so yeah, don't expect to see new books here. And you can tell from the spine the size of the book inside, and the font of the book is also quite fair. It's something that you can read without a strain. It's about 178 pages. I brought my notebook, which to start with is hardcover. Different from this, all this I've shown you, they're all easier covers. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you the size and the cover, which is different, which we will also talk about the cover. And you can tell that the notebook is bigger than the biggest book I've shown you amongst them. Of course, there are bigger books than this, but because I'm talking about The Budding Tree, I wanted us to be relatable, and most of the sizes that are used, actually in the market, most of the sizes that are used are this, and this. When you're choosing a size for your book, first you have to keep in mind the number of words that you have. There are writers who actually count the number of words from the beginning of writing and editing their script. It's more important for them to have a specific number of words, and for others like myself, it's more important to pass the message than have so many words. I've just done enough emphasis, but my message was what was more important to me. And so my book is quite small. My book was about 20,000 words before editing, but by the time we were done with everything, it was coming to about 16,000 plus words, less than 17,000, more than 16,000. And so I wanted my book to be easily readable by older people, younger people, and so I wanted a size that was friendly. First, I must mention that the recommended size of your typo shouldn't be more than 14, because basically it will be too large for a book. So 14 is the maximum you can go. And because you also don't want people to squint while reading your words, I wouldn't recommend you to go less than 12, which is what I was showing you in this book. So you don't want to go less than 12, because you don't want people to squint while reading your words. So whatever you do, I recommend that your sizes should be between 12 and 14. Don't go greater than that, don't go smaller than that. In special cases you can. For example, in this church book, you can go for a size smaller than that, but it's recommended that you work with anything between 12 and 14. So if you're worried about your content, then I guess you know that you're not ready to publish your book, and you need to go back to the drawing board to see if your book will be something that can be sold and read. So that's one. The second thing you need to consider is the font you use. Majority of the books that I've read, I've realized they've been typed in Garamond or Verdana. However, the mood of your book or the genre of your book should also be able to guide you. For example, a book such as Harry Potter, it's supposed to make you feel horrified, but at the same give you the goodwill of people. And if you look at the font that has been used in that book, it gives the mood of the book. If you're going to read a Christian book, there's also going to be a font that gives you the mood of the book. So also consider what is the mood of your book, or what is your book about. If it's about scary things, then you can go all scary, and I'm sure you've seen different samples. I'll try and get some and insert them here. If not, if you read Christian stories, you'll read their fonts are different. If you read love stories, you'll see that their fonts are also different. So it's important that you understand the mood of your book and what you want the reader to feel when they're reading your book, and then try and match your font with your content. For example, if my book was meant to be a letter, it would be easy for me to use Halo Solid font. You know, and by the way, speaking of letters, I have a series of letters. It's actually called Letters to My Younger Sister on my blog. You should check it out. It's an interesting series, and I'm pretty sure that you learn something from it. It's basically what an older sister who has experienced things about relationships, about life, would advise a younger sister who is just beginning dating. But back to the font of the book. If I was writing a letter on my book, then I would use a font such as Halo Solid. But since I'm writing a book, like a story, then I chose to use Garamond, because I felt Garamond was something that anybody could read without being distracted and without them feeling me, the author, more than the story in the book. So consider such things when you're choosing the font of your book. Again, as I said in an earlier video, these decisions solely lie on the author, because you are self-publishing. The thing that should be of much interest to you is that the decisions you're making will drive you towards the audience that you're targeting. Because again, why are you writing? You want people to read your book. So make sure that these decisions, the decisions of the size of the font of the book, the size of the book, the title, the design, make sure that they're all tying to your end goal, which is to get people to read your book. This has been a short video, but I hope you've learned something from it, and I hope that it will teach you something about editing. However, we are still not close to saying that we are published. On my next video, I'll be telling you about the process of copywriting your work and getting an ISBN number. I will explain to you what ISBN is on my next video. So that's it for today. Goodbye.